Do you want to hear more about the opportunities that we have as Amazon sellers and brand builders to possibly expand beyond Amazon itself? And do you also want to know about how you can outsource your business and really help grow more efficiently and effectively? Well, we're going to cover those topics today in the Amazon Seller Podcast.
This is the Amazon Seller Podcast, hosted by multi-million-dollar Amazon sellers helping you launch your private label business to the next level. Find us on amazingfreedom.com or subscribe to this podcast on iTunes and YouTube.
Hey, welcome back to the Amazon Seller Podcast. We have an exciting show for you, a couple exciting topics. But before we get into that, I just want to mention something really cool that we have going on. If you visit the amazingfreedom.com Facebook page, you're going to see a podcast post. It's a silly post with a picture of the three of us on it that explains a really cool giveaway that we have going on right now. Andy's actually sourced and vetted a private label potential idea that he normally sells to some of our members in our closed group for typically a couple $1,000s. But instead of doing that this time, he's actually going to give that vetted product idea away to one lucky winner who shares that post on the Amazing Freedom Facebook page, gives it a thumbs up, and then also leaves us a review on the Amazon Seller Podcast iTunes page. So if you haven't yet, you're going to want to leave us a review on that page. One, because we really appreciate it and it helps us encourage us to keep bringing good content to you week over week. So that's one reason to do it. But then number two, and probably more importantly, is you're going to be able to get entered into that giveaway for this private label product idea vetted giveaway by Andy Slamans himself. So this is a really cool opportunity. It's a pretty big giveaway. So if you haven't yet, visit amazingfreedom.com Facebook page, give that post a like, a share, and then head over to iTunes and leave us a review on the podcast. It means a lot to us. We appreciate it. And it's a great opportunity to get entered into that giveaway. All right, so welcome to another episode of the Amazon Seller Podcast. My name is Nathan. I'm here with Liron and Andy Slamans, and today we're going to talk about getting your private label products into retail stores, actually. We're also going to cover outsourcing and hiring virtual assistants and employees to assist you with your business and make that easier. But before we get into that, Andy Slamans just got back from a couple-week vacation / meetup with different Amazon sellers that was a really cool experience, it seemed like, from the awesome Facebook posts and shares that he was giving. But Andy, I just want to hear a little bit about your trip that you took out west, what that was like to be able to do that with you and your family, and basically how you relate that to your Amazon business and the opportunities that you have to do that kind of stuff. If you can just share that with us and our audience.
Sure. So obviously the name of our website's Amazing Freedom. It's why I love selling on Amazon, because I basically control my own schedule, work from home. I love and just really feel blessed to be able to do that. Was able to take a 2-week vacation with my family. We flew out to California, went to various places, visited Yosemite, which is an amazing national park. I homeschool my 2 children. They're age 15 and 12. And that allows me to be a lot more flexible than folks who have kids that are in public school, because you can't take them out. And it's a great way, too, to vacation, because you're going generally during the times where it's less expensive, less crowded. And so being able to homeschool and sell on Amazon, combining those two things works really well. My wife actually just recently resigned from her job. She's going to begin to help us sell on Amazon now as well. And so it was kind of like a kickoff for her, being able to help us sell on Amazon, and then finishing up her employment where she's worked at for 18 years. Some of the best parts of the trip, and I always say this, visiting destinations is really cool. Like seeing the mountains in Yosemite, the waterfalls, phenomenal time. But for me, what always makes trips are the people that you meet and the people that you talk to. And so every vacation, every destination I've been on, it's always the people that make the trip memorable. And so whenever I travel, I always try to connect with other Amazon sellers. because, we talk about this, being able to talk shop about Amazon. A lot of people still don't understand what we do. And so I had a phenomenal time meeting and talking with other Amazon sellers during our vacation. My kids and my wife, they love meeting other Amazon sellers as well. So we met with Monica Bushby. She has a great program teaching kids how to sell in e-commerce. And so we were able to visit her facility. She has an amazing office. It's actually in Hollywood, just phenomenal office space. And then she's helping kids who are in high school learn how to sell on Amazon and other sales channels. And so we were able to meet with them, share some best practices. Was able to meet with Jason Smith in Las Vegas. If you don't know Jason, look him up. He's a phenomenal eBay seller. He's actually helped probably thousands of people be able to transition from their 9-to-5 job. So AJ and I were able to have breakfast with him. He has a really cool house. He's really into tiki. So that's his expertise. He buys and sells things, all things related around tiki. So we were able to have breakfast with him and spend time with him. And he was able to share with us a little bit about his tiki knowledge. So for me, again, the highlight of the vacation was meeting other Amazon sellers and meeting other people that are in our space. That is always what makes it memorable for me.
And that's so awesome, right? Like that, like you said, that's the freedom that, you're able to do because you run an Amazon business, and specifically the FBA business, right? Where you're not primarily handling almost any inventory at this point, right? Like you can send your inventory either directly to Amazon or have freight forwarder take care of that, or a prep and ship company, right? And so that's a benefit. And I just got back recently from a couple week workcation, I guess I'll call it, right? Like I was kind of on vacation, but worked as well, because I can still do a lot of my work, talking to suppliers online and importing and just basically account management still from anywhere, right? So that's a huge benefit. So that's really cool to hear your experience. That sounded like a great time, and just being able to connect with people that you normally wouldn't be able to. If you didn't listen to, I think, our last podcast on conferences and networking, strongly recommend that you check that out, because Andy and Liran really go over a lot of the points that Andy just shared about the benefits of networking with other sellers. If you haven't yet, you should really try to come to some upcoming conferences. We usually post conferences that we're attending in the Amazing Freedom Amazon Sellers Facebook group. If you haven't joined our Facebook group, highly recommend that you join that group, because we typically say what conferences or networking events we're attending, and then you can meet Andy and meet Liran and talk to these guys. They're really fun to talk to, open to talk to. Like Andy, just mentioned, that's usually the greatest part for him about these events. So he's definitely open to meeting and talking to people. So hopefully we can connect with more of our listeners at future conferences. All right, so let's get into our main two topics today. The first thing we're going to talk about is the possibility of transitioning, or not even transitioning, but adding a component of retail to your private label business. And to most of us, it sounds kind of strange, because, a lot of us think that we're moving away from retail and like online selling is the best, which we will agree that, that's where a lot of the gold mine opportunity kind of is right now. But sometimes it's good to diversify and expand and just look at other opportunities. And that's something that Liran has really been doing this last week or two. And it's something that most of us don't think about, Liran. So why don't you tell us how you kind of got into this, and really just explain to us what it means when you're taking your private label brand and looking at possibly seeing retail opportunities that could be there for you.
Sure. So to kind of preface it, one of the goals that I have is not relying on Amazon solely as my source of e-commerce revenue, right? Because we all know the huge benefits of selling on Amazon. It's the best e-commerce platform in the world by far. You want to have your products on Amazon. At the same time, you're under Amazon's control. If we were just talking before the podcast, one of Andy's products, a customer complained, the product's not new, right? Even though the product is new, he ships it out to the customer. Amazon, if they don't like that, they'll shut down the listing, right? Or they'll suspend your account or whatever. So one of my motivations is not relying solely on Amazon, which means selling other channels online, but also exploring other ways to sell. So right now, e-commerce is about 8 to 10% of total sales. There's still a ton of sales happening in brick and mortar stores. And if you think of, there's a lot of stores that are suffering right now. Like, you look at like Macy's, for example, that's like closing stores and they're going to be changing, I think, to like a more of a discount store model, to Sports Authority, right, going out of business in a lot of stores. But then you think of stores that are really successful, for example, like Costco, right? Costco is one of those stores that's really, really successful. So one of the things that I did was I reached out to a consultant that helps basically product sellers get into retail through relationships that he has with buyers, reaching out to them, and helping you create a proposal for a company. So that's one of the things that I'm working on right now. I have working with him on two of my brands where we think there's potential to possibly get the products into retail. So I'm just starting on that journey, but it's something I'm willing to try, because if you do happen to get into, let's say, like a major, like a Target or a major retailer, then it could be very big for your business. And what I found is that typically the process works is you'll sort of pitch the product. You'll send them a sample if they want to see it. If they're interested after they see the sample, you set up a face-to-face meeting, and then you try to get them to do a test order, which is usually like a certain amount of units for a certain amount of stores. So if it's Target, they'll do like 6 units across like 300 stores, for example. So you might have to, so it's an order for like 1,800 units. Or if it's Costco, they'll do like in a 10 regional stores of a pallet each of your product. And that's really how you get started. And then if the product sells well, then you can get an order going like nationwide into all their stores. So it's definitely interesting. I have a couple of, a couple brands where I think the products are unique and can go into retail, and I think there's an opportunity there. So
no, Liran, no, the reason that you're even able to do this, right, is because you took the time and saw the opportunity to build a brand, right? So, and that's what I know we kind of harp on this a lot in our podcast, just because we believe in it. I know Andy and Liran, you and I, we all believe in building a brand and the benefits of doing that. And, that's why you're able to even do this, right? If you were just selling other brands' products, or, doing wholesale or whatever, this isn't a conversation we can even have right now, right? Like, if it's not your own brand, you're not able to go to retail stores typically and say like, hey, I want to introduce this product to your store. If you do, maybe it's because the brand owner like has consulted with you to do that, but it's typically not the same process, right? And so that's why we are such big believers in building brands, because it gives you opportunities. It helps you diversify what you can do with your products, with your selling models. You don't have to solely rely just on one platform like Liran's talking about here. You can branch out, and that's, again, just the benefit of taking the time to really build your own brand, as opposed to sometimes kind of taking like the easy road out of selling other brands, which has its place and its opportunities. There's definitely benefits to being the brand owner and controlling that. Can you kind of go over like, for someone, so for a lot of us, getting into retail is probably not quite on our radar for a lot of our listeners, even, me, myself. But, it's cool to think about the possibilities and to know that, that's something that in the future could be open. So for those of us who are listening to you, kind of talk about this, but aren't quite ready there, can you kind of explain what you think like the process would be for someone who's maybe just getting into private label, or kind of just starting private label? Like, when should they even be thinking about potentially going to retail eventually? Is it something that you really shouldn't focus on at the beginning, or like what would be your process for that?
So I think it kind of depends. I think if you have a product that's sort of unique, maybe you've made some changes to the product, or maybe there's not much competition on Amazon. There's like you and like 3 other sellers for the product, and it's not in a lot of retail, then it's something you should consider and should think about. I don't think it necessarily matters if you're selling, 10,000 a month on Amazon or 100,000 a month. But if the product is actually selling well and you have good reviews and feedback on the quality, then I think it is something that you should consider doing. The the process I'm going through is I'm using a consultant. I'll give his name is Timothy Bush. So I'm using a consultant who I'm paying to help me with the process. So it depends if it's something you want to put money towards or not. If you're just starting out, then I would focus on like getting your product on Amazon, getting it ranked well, getting reviews, getting good images. I would spend your money there initially. But if you sort of already have that in the product, then and you have the budget set aside for it, then I think it would make sense. The guy I spoke to probably wouldn't take on a product if he didn't think there was potential, because there's a fee component plus a commission from the retail sales that you get. So he probably wouldn't take something on if he didn't think there was some kind of potential.
Right. And should there be like some sales history? I mean, there should be a decent amount of sales history there that kind of shows that this is a proven product already on Amazon, or not quite necessary, do you think?
I mean, I don't know that depending on the product, I don't know necessarily if how much the retailer necessarily will care. I think it depends on the product and the category, but you should have some feedback from customers on Amazon that at least like the quality, or I mean the worst case, if you don't have that, then you can get it out to a store, and then suddenly they have all these returns and they want to charge you back for them, and you kind of don't want to go through that. So you want to make sure you want to validate at least that the product and idea are wanted by consumers.
Right. And so the key here for all of us is that Amazon is still like the golden opportunity, right? Like we strongly recommend that you focus on Amazon, because we think it's just like the best time really to build an e-commerce business is right now, and using Amazon because of what we talk about, the amazingly powerful platform that it is. But the key that Liran is saying, the key word is diversification. Like he's trying to just not solely rely on Amazon. So we're not trying to say that Amazon is, not working and he's trying to get off it or something. No, it's just that he's looking to expand and to diversify and do more.
And, also like it theoretically, being in retail would help you with your Amazon sales, right? Because I don't know if you're the same way, but when I go into a store and look at a product, very often I'll check the reviews, whether I'll check pricing on Amazon comparatively to what's in the store if I don't need it like right away, but I'll also check the reviews of the product. So theoretically, if you do have a product in retail, then you get more brand awareness, and you have an opportunity to actually sell more online also.
Right. And I was actually going to hit on that. Now, Andy, you have a product or a couple of products that you've thought about this as well. I don't think you've actually reached out to like a consultant yet to take the next steps, but you've thought about some of your products that are doing real well about getting to retail as well. And I know I've heard you say one of the possible benefits is that it can just help build that like brand equity, so that if you considered ever possibly selling your brand in the future, it kind of just adds to that equity, right? Like not only is your product a, very good seller on Amazon online, but also has this proven track record kind of in retail as well. So are you still thinking about that with some of your products? What's your outlook on that, Andy?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great progression. So I have a product right now that's selling about $150,000 a month. And
one product there?
Yeah, one product.
Nice.
And we've really worked hard in this past year with the customer service around this product. It's close to 5 stars, with the customer reviews. And we've really worked hard at this because it's really proof of concept. We think that this product can do really well in retail and in brick and mortar. And so what we've done now, we have data that we can bring. Once we get ready to pitch it to retail stores, we have proven data of sales that we can show them in our Amazon account. We have proven data from customers who have left, great reviews for this product that, again, that we'll be able to pitch to the right people, in retail. And so that it really gives you proof of concept. I mean, what a great way to begin to sell on Amazon. And then you can, like Liran's doing, you can go to stores and you can show them hard data, because that's what they want, right? They don't want to just hear stories, about what your product is. You can show them financials and hard data about the consumer demand, right? Which for this particular product, the demand has been violent. And so you can show that to customers. I mean, you can show that to the folks that are going to be able to help you get it in those stores. and it's proof, that when they put that in the store, it's going to sell.
Right. And same goes for people who are potentially looking to buy a brand or an e-commerce, business, right? And we've talked about this on the show before, but that's actually a very popular thing right now is people are buying brands like the one Andy's talking about. He's been building for a lot of times or sometimes between 2 to 5 times annual revenue, which can be huge, right? If you have a very good product seller, we know people who have sold brands into the millions of dollars, 7 figures, that they've built with, sometimes only between 12 to 24 months. So it's really cool if you have that data like Andy is talking about. All right, so that's a good look at the potential of Amazon. Again, for those who are listening, you might not be here yet. You might not be at the point where you're considering getting into retail because you're still focusing on building your private label business. That's okay. All of us are still in that same place too, but we're just trying to look how we can continue to expand our business, keep growing. I think Liron says this all the time. If you're not growing, you're dying. Is that what you say, Liron? Something, right? Like if you're not growing, if you're not trying to, I think you said in the Facebook Live we did the other day in the Amazing Freedom Group, if you're not going into uncharted waters, you're not really pushing yourself at all. You're not growing your business. So you're constantly looking to do that, right? Looking to go to those uncharted waters and really learn and grow. So hopefully that lights a fire in you and just helps you see the opportunities we have. Let's switch topics here. Go to our second topic and talk about outsourcing and hiring employees basically for your Amazon e-commerce business to help you grow. So Liron, we talked about this the other day again, but why don't you give us your thought process of why you think this is so important and why you think that, outsourcing gives us as entrepreneurs a lot of opportunities to grow our business that, other people typically don't take advantage of.
Sure. Yeah. So I think ultimately there's only a certain amount of time you have in the day, and you really want to focus on the tasks that are going to make you $100 an hour, $500 an hour, $1,000 an hour, right? Those, if I think about what those tasks are for me, it's right now it's finding potential product opportunities, right? Because that could take me, 2 or 3 hours, but that product can make me, X amount of money in a year, right? Or over the next 2 or 3 years. And that's a very good use of my time. Maybe focusing on my sponsored ad campaigns, right? Is getting more sales, decreasing my cost. But there are certain things that are, that don't pay well for my time, right? Like answering customer emails or, editing a listing or, doing a flat file or things like that, tracking, hijackers or keywords or whatever it is. So, you want to focus on those tasks that are the, $100, $200, whatever per hour tasks, and not do the tasks that are the, $10 an hour tasks. And so, one of my focuses has been on hiring a virtual assistant who can do that. And the great thing is that there are so many people out there you can find that have, now that sort of the Amazon seller space has matured a little bit, you can find people that have already worked for other Amazon sellers and are familiar with Seller Central, are familiar with customer service, editing listings, copywriting even, etc. So it's not hard to find, and you can outsource that work for very little money if you do it overseas. So, for example, you can hire somebody in the Philippines for anywhere from $300 to $500 a month full time, and they could basically help you scale your business where you can work on the more important things, and have them work on the sort of day-to-day tasks that you need to do that you don't need, that you shouldn't be doing yourself.
Right. And Liron, I really like when you say that, focus on the jobs or the tasks that are going to make you $100, $200, $1,000 an hour, right? And not focus on those under $10 an hour jobs or tasks, because I think a lot of Amazon sellers, entrepreneurs sell themselves short when it comes to their time, right? Like our time is, for most of us, our most valuable resource. We can't get that back. If we had, I said this the other day, if we had unlimited time, we could probably make unlimited money eventually, right? There's
Right.
enough money in the economy to make unlimited money. Or on Amazon, we see how powerful and how many items sell on Amazon, but it's the time factor that limits us, or not using our time efficiently or effectively. So I think too many people sell themselves short. They don't realize the value of their time, and so they keep doing those tasks that aren't very valuable instead of outsourcing it, because they think to themselves, "Oh, I don't want to pay someone $2 an hour to do this task," right? And it sounds silly when you start to think about it. It's like, it might take you an hour to do it, and it might take, a virtual assistant 2 hours to do it. But if you're paying them $2, $3, $4 an hour, like, that's still only, a small amount of money that you're saving by doing it yourself, that you could be focusing on those tasks that instead make you 100, plus, like we keep hitting on. So I think that's important for our listeners, not to sell yourself short. I think I did this too long as well, and didn't start looking into outsourcing. And it's because it's hard to get started with it, right? That's the hardest part, is getting started with outsourcing. A lot of us just aren't aware of the opportunities to outsource. And also what I want to say while we're here is that there's kind of two thought processes, or I don't know if that's the right word, but there's two, ways that you want to outsource. One is because it's a task that like you already mentioned, that just isn't overly difficult, but just takes too much time for you. And then the other part of outsourcing are those tasks that, maybe you're not super good at it or skilled yourself. And so you outsource it to someone who can do it better for you in a way that, is worth your money, right? So we have some services like our image service, amazingfreedom.com/magic, where we help take plain, boring images that sellers have on their private label listings and turn them into really awesome looking pictures, right? And so that service that we have, it's not that necessarily it takes someone else time to it. For most of us, we just don't have the ability to do that, right? It takes some skill to turn those images into awesome images. So you can outsource that way. You can pay for that. We also have like a reimbursement account management service, reimbursementninja.com, that we're associated with. That can help you, right? So those are ways that you can outsource. But specifically what we're talking about here, hiring a virtual assistant to help you with, are for those tasks that are typically just, you can do it yourself, but you want to have someone that can do it in a more cost-effective way. So Leron, what's you've been looking at this, especially the last 2 weeks. What's kind of your process for most of us? We just don't know how to get started. So how do you even get started looking for a virtual assistant and find someone that's actually going to be good, right?
Right. Yeah. So a few things. One, there are services out there that you can give them sort of your criteria, what you're looking for. Like, let's say somebody who has previous experience working in Seller Central, etc. So there are services out there that will find a VA for you and like charge you $400 or $500 for doing the recruiting for you, and like serve up like 3 potentially good candidates that you can interview. One of those that I've used in the past is called Virtual Staff Finder. Then this time around, I used onlinejobs.ph, which is basically like a resume kind of job posting site where you can post your job request. One of the things that I've done that I thought was helpful was, and Nate kind of learned this from Nate, was after you interview somebody, give them a task to do and come back to you with the task, so that you're not only seeing what they, if they're good at answering interview questions, but you can actually test their behavior. And so give them a task to do and see how well they execute on it.
Right. And I have a good one that I've learned from, I can't remember who now. One of the tasks that they would use when they're hiring is they would basically have them go to a typing test website, right? Like you can just type in the Google typing test. They would send them to that link and give them some instructions. So you're trying to see if they can follow basic instructions, right? It's part of it. If they understand your English enough to be able to follow the directions, because that onlinejobs.ph is a Philippines website that only has Philippine workers on it. So most of them speak pretty good English. Like a lot of them speak, fluent English, it seems like, but some of them aren't as good. So you give them just a task, see if they can follow it. Tell them to go to this typing test. You're trying to see if they're, if they can type good and be a fast worker, right? If you can only type 10 words a minute, you're probably not going to be a very fast worker no matter what you're doing. So you give them that test, and then you try to tell them like a process to do. Like, I want you to take this test, and I want you to take a screenshot of that, and then I want you to upload it to, and then maybe tell them like a image site to upload it to. And when you do that, you're trying to see if they can follow your directions. And what it allows you to do, because some of these websites, you set up a job posting and then you might get back 200 job applications, right? And then Liran told me this the other day. He heard it from someone, I think, like, you don't want to be the one doing the work when it comes to job hiring, right? Like, you're trying to find someone else to do work for you. So don't make the job application process a huge headache. If you give them a task and then you only need to look at the people who actually followed that task, right? And then you might narrow it down from 200 applicants to only 10 applicants that actually followed your directions and went to that typing test or whatever, job task you give them to do, test to do. Maybe only 10 of them actually followed the directions. And that seems to be the case a lot of times. Only a small percentage will, because many of them are just trying to fill out as many job applications as they can. And they're kind of hoping that someone just hires them, I guess. So that's been your experience. How about actually finding someone once you like narrow it down? How do you like decide if it's the right person? Do you like interview them, or what's your process been?
Yeah, so I've done like a face-to-face interview, on Skype. So along with giving them a task, face-to-face interview, I've even, at some point reached out to references that they've mentioned on their resume. In fact, one gave me some negative feedback on somebody they had on their resume. So I think that's helpful. And then ultimately, I think, you're not making a huge commitment when you hire a VA. You can let them work for a couple weeks and see, is this something that I can train? They're not going to do everything the way you want them to initially. So the question is this somebody that I can train to improve, or, is this sort of a hiring mistake and just kind of move on to try somebody else? So ultimately, I mean, if you're paying somebody, $3 an hour and they work for a week and it didn't work out, then it's not the worst thing in the world. So I think you just sort of have to ultimately go with your gut as far as, does this person have the skills and the, work experience that you're looking for?
And for most of us, again, the reason we don't get into this is because it takes at least a little bit of upfront time commitment, right? You have to actually do it. That's, you have to actually take action on it. And then you have to, maybe interview and talk to some people. What would be your advice to someone who just says like, it sounds like kind of a lot of work to hire someone? And at what point in sellers' businesses would you say that it's worthwhile to look into this?
Well, I guess you have to consider how you can spend your time differently than what you're doing now. So, if you have, one private label SKU, for example, then you may not need or want any help. You could probably do everything yourself. But if you're finding that, you're not getting, you wish you had more time in your day and you wish you could do this, but then you have to focus on other stuff, then, for me, that's a good time to consider, okay, I need to probably bring someone on board because I wish I could do this and that, but I also have to, edit a listing, or have to, merge variations, or I'm answering too many customer emails or whatever. So if you find yourself in that case, in that scenario, or maybe there's things you want to do, but you're not doing because you're kind of like, I don't know, too lazy to do them or not disciplined enough to do them, where you kind of think that if you outsource it to somebody else, it would get done, every day. So those are the kind of things that, you should think about outsourcing if you're in that position.
And now, Andy, even before you were almost 100% private label, and you were doing some retail and online sourcing business models on Amazon. I know you previously were like prepping all your stuff yourself, even private label. You're having it shipped to your home, and you were having the label stuff or de-sticker items. And then you started outsourcing your products as well. I remember you doing either like a screencast or a Facebook Live about just the benefits of when you did stop doing a lot of that, in that case, manual labor yourself that you didn't enjoy doing. Can you kind of just say how that helped you grow your business and what your thought process was on that?
Sure. So a lot of people, when they first start out, they have to bootstrap, and, so you may be doing a lot of that stuff yourself, but eventually as your business grows, like you guys just talked about, your time becomes more valuable and better spent doing things like sourcing. And so for us, because we're in a physical product business, inventory-based business, the most important piece to that is finding more products. And so that's the most valuable thing that we can do. And so, like you guys just shared, it's not a good use of my time to have to put stickers on products or have to box products up or have to ship them. I can make a lot more money in my business by sourcing and spending my time and sourcing profitable products.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you both, Andy and Liran, for sharing your valuable insights with us. It's always great to hear what you have to say. And I know both of you are just constantly looking to expand your own Amazon businesses. And then also, thankfully, you're dedicated towards bringing the knowledge and information that you're constantly learning to our group members in the Amazing Freedom Amazon Sellers Facebook group, on the Amazon Seller Podcast here, and basically just with everyone that you come in contact, right? Like Andy mentioned at the start of the show, he's always looking to connect with other sellers, share what he's learned, pick up information from other people. Liran the same way, and then bring that information back and really share it with other people. I think it's so valuable. I appreciate both of you sharing that information with all of us. It's extremely helpful, right? So that's going to do it for today. We're going to wrap up with that. I think that's a lot of good information to kind of soak up and to think about. Again, make sure you check out Amazing Freedom Facebook page so that you can get entered into that giveaway. If you leave us a review on the iTunes page, we really find that helpful. So go ahead and do that. And I also just want to remind you, don't forget to check out our free private label course at amazingfreedom.com/smart. It's a really valuable resource that we might not have up that much longer. So make sure you check that out. It's a really good free course that you can check out that goes through the private label process. Thanks again for joining us on the Amazon Seller Podcast. We'll be back next week.
You've been listening to the Amazon Seller Podcast. Make sure to subscribe and join us next time for another look at how to dominate the Amazon marketplace.